What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew First Culture podcast. Thank you very much for joining me today, spending some time with me. My name is Jeremy, and I'm glad to be on here and to put out a Crew First Culture episode. It's been quite a while. If any of you have followed me over the past couple of years, you know that there's been some ups and downs. Like some of the things I talk about as far as fire service careers go, it's a roller coaster ride. You have some times where you're up and you're fired up and you're into the job and you're loving it, and then you got some times where it feels like you're just trying to survive another shift so that you can make it home to your family. And I guess a little bit of that kind of serves true with social media and podcasting for me. I've done this for almost 2 years. It's probably been about a year and 9 months, maybe, just guessing. But the first year, I recorded over 100 episodes of the podcast, and I put out social media posts on a very regular basis. And the kind of the following really grew quickly, and it seemed like I really started to get a good network of just meeting some great people, and it just seemed to be going really well. 2020, as far as that goes, it was a good year. It was a bad year in a lot of other ways for everybody, for obvious reasons, but as far as kind of where I'm going, it was a good year for learning about podcasting, learning how I can kind of share my message and spread my message farther, and just try to reach as many people as I can. 2021 was a very tough year for me. It was a very tough year for my family. We had some things happen within my family that it really kind of shook a lot of what I thought about myself, a lot of how I handled myself, a lot of how we interacted as a family at times. It was a tough year, a tough year of some real stuff. We look back at 2020 and it sucked, but really it sucked because of just surface crap. It sucked because we didn't get to do the things we wanted to do when we wanted to do them. It sucked because we had to do things that we didn't really want to do. It was more of a surface kind of irritation for us. 2021, it was really kind of a deep hurt and really some serious stuff going on that kind of made it worse. And so that being said, it obviously took a toll on what I just talked about earlier with the podcasting and the social media posting, because I I've talked over and over again on these episodes that balance is huge for me. It has to be huge for me. If I have that ADHD personality, that if I don't constantly and intentionally monitor how I balance my life, it will spin out of control and out of balance, and not in good ways. Over time, I've found to do with my family, because I tend to kind of gravitate towards the things that I find fun, or the things that make me feel important, or whatever, selfish human nature type things. And sometimes that doesn't have anything to do with family. Sometimes that has to do with things that takes time away from family. And for me, podcasting, social media, things like that are definitely things that I have to monitor and balance, like I've talked about before. And so that being said, the focus that I had to put into family, the focus that I had to put especially into myself, to really deal with some things that needed to be dealt with, to really start to work on growing personally as a father and as a husband, I just didn't have the focus. I didn't have the energy. I didn't have the mindset to do both. It almost was either I halfway do both, or I do one better than the other. And so I knew that was the case, just because how I felt, just because of the energy that it was requiring me just to kind of function. So the podcasting, the social media had to take a little bit of a backseat. And by a little bit of a backseat, I mean a lot of a backseat. I went from over 100 episodes the first year to, you know, probably around 10 to 15 over the next 10 months. So, but that's okay. It's okay because it allowed me to put more focus in the things that were important. And by important, I mean the things that affected my family, the things that affected me personally. And so a lot of growth was needed for me. I had put my family in places that I shouldn't have. I put my wife in places I shouldn't have because I didn't have that intense focus on them and on me being better at home. And so, anyway, I'm going to try really hard not to ramble here, but it, like I said, it was definitely a different year for me to really kind of figure out what was going on. And something else that happened in 2021 that was great was, doors open, different doors open for me. I was introduced to public speaking somehow. And I've talked about that. I am the last person that I would have ever guessed would be interested or would even be able to do some public speaking, but I was blessed enough to have the opportunity to speak at a couple conferences. And man, that really showed me that it's something that I enjoy and that I want to do more of. And so that kind of sucked what little bit of attention and focus that I could afford to give in other areas away even more from social media and other things, because I was having to come up with classes and having to kind of create PowerPoints and things like that so that I could establish some type of a baseline to operate as a speaker, if that's what I wanted to do. So anyway, I guess where I'm getting at is, we're a couple of days into the new year, and I remember having this thought last year. It's so funny that people are, it's almost like they walk through a door. 2020 is over. 2021 is going to be great. Day one of 2021 is going to be great. Well, for me, if that's how I thought going into it, I was definitely setting myself up for some disappointment. And this year it's the same. You see a lot of people saying, this is going to be a new year, blah blah blah. Well, I feel like that's a very flawed mindset, and I feel like it's a very easily, trying to think of the way to say it here, and I'm sorry for stammering. I feel like that mindset is going to fail us, and it set us up for some disappointment. But really, and you see it too. I'm not trying to say that you don't see the better mindsets, but every day is our chance to start new. Every day is our chance to do better and to try harder, to grow, to become something that we know we can possibly become every day. It doesn't matter if it's January 1st. It doesn't matter if it's August 2nd. It is a new day that we have a chance to make a difference. And so I hope everybody out there kind of maybe focuses a little bit on that daily growth mindset this year. If you do need a resolution, maybe add that into it. I want to grow a little bit every day. I want to become closer to the person that I can be every day. I know that for me personally, I'm here for a reason. I know that I was put here for a reason. I know there is a path set for me, and I'm so thankful for that path. I just have to not screw it up. I just have to keep watching for opportunities to come up to take advantage of those things and to continue down that path. And everybody out there is the same way. If you don't necessarily believe as deeply into it, or if you're not as spiritually tied to it as I am, that's fine. It doesn't bother me either way, but I know that you're here for a reason. I know it. I've had some text conversations here over the past month or so with quite a few different people, just because of the last couple episodes that I put out. The last episode was with some good friends, Corley Moore and Jacob Johnson, about kind of saving careers and helping others save their careers, and just some things to help us as leaders really keep people involved and going. And you know we we had somebody reach out to all three of us in a group text a couple days ago, just talking about how thankful he was for that episode, and thankful that he was to hear the story of somebody else doing and dealing with the same things as he was. And he was very frustrated, and you could just feel kind of down because of the organization that he's having to work with, the leadership where he's at. And we were all very quickly to jump in and say, man, our organizations are no different. Our departments are no different. We could describe our departments almost exactly like you do. So, don't let that beat you down. We're all in the same boat. That's why it's so important to reach out and to network and find people to help you. I think it was awesome for him to reach out to us and just kind of start a conversation, and to realize that we're here together. We're here doing the same things, fighting the same fights, and being frustrated about the same things as everybody else. It helps to know that you're not alone. It helps to know that you're in this with a lot of other people if you just reach out and find out. But none of that ever happens if we keep this inside. None of that ever happens if we don't share our stories, if we don't do the best we can to reach people, to help people. And so I hope that you can maybe put some time and thought into that. How can I do better today to be there for somebody? How can I do better today to try to inspire somebody else to grow, to learn today? How can I make a difference in somebody else's life today? I just got done listening to a great book, The Outward Mindset, which was kind of, it's not really officially the the second book of a series, but it's written by the same people, the Arbiter Institute, that wrote the Leadership and Self Deception, which is now one of my favorite books. It's amazing. But both of them together are great, great books. And please, if you like books, or if you don't like books, whatever, please read those books or listen to those books. They are great. But that Outward Mindset is what I really want to put a lot of energy into right now. Thinking of others, putting others first, thinking of others' needs and desires, and helping others to achieve what they want and what they need and what they're designed to achieve. So that's been a kind of a big process for me. And like I said, over the past couple of years, I've really focused a lot on growth, and like I've talked about before, I don't want to just focus on growth at work. I want to focus on growth that can be spread across the board, that can be used at work and it can be used at home, because I need to grow at home as much or even probably more than I do at work. And so I've really tried to focus on things that can help in both ways. And so that being said, I just wanted to share a little bit. I sat down with my crew last week and kind of laid out a lot of this stuff in much more personal manner, because obviously that relationship is there, and I want it to even be a more solid, concrete relationship, and kind of laid out the things that happened over the year, with the family, the trials that we went through, and the loss and everything else. I sat down and talked to them about it, because one of my crew members brought up to me a couple weeks ago that some of the guys were asking about you, was kind of worried about you. And so that made me think I'm obviously not being open enough about what's going on, which I want to be completely open. I want to create that environment that not only am I open about what's going on with me, that will allow them to know that they can be open with what's going on with them. And so I wanted to make sure that I got that across, laid it all out, let them know kind of what had happened over the past 12 months, and kind of why I have been a little bit more quiet and laid, subdued, maybe off to myself, or whatever you want to call it. And so it was a good conversation, that kind of spurred some vulnerability conversation and some openness conversation, some trust conversation. And I felt like it was a great thing. And hopefully that will continue to kind of spur more and more of that trust and relationship on. But something else that I want to quickly throw out there that we talked about right after that, before I'm about to walk in the door on shift, so I don't have a lot of time here. But I approached this new year with something new. I wanted to kind of maybe explore more options as far as our mission as a crew. The mission that we've been operating under since I've been there at my current station has been mine. It's been completely something I came up with. I have adjusted it some in that amount of time, but I've never really gotten much feedback. It's been mine. And that's kind of led to some good things, but it's also led to some bad things. It's led to really off and on a hard time to get buy-in, because I've not allowed anybody else to buy into it. It's not been anybody else's. And so what we sat down to do was to create a little bit of a shared mission, create something that we all have a piece of. So we kind of started with 4 questions, and I don't know where these 4 questions came from originally. I talked with a few people over the past couple of years that I've heard this from, and I'm sorry, but I don't know who to officially attribute it to. But the 4 questions are this: what are we doing good? What do we need to be doing better? What do we need to start? And what do we need to stop? And there are a little bit different versions of that. Some of the different versions are, what do we need to do more? What do we need to do less? I think as long as you can kind of keep it fairly focused on those areas, however you want to word it, it doesn't matter. You're going to get some great conversation. And that's exactly what we had. I think by answering the first 2 questions, we found that we were really answering all of the questions. As we were talking about what we're doing good, we kind of started talking about what some new things that we could start to keep doing better. As we were talking about what we aren't doing as well, we started figuring out, okay, these are some things that we need to stop doing, and these are some more things that we need to start doing to make it better. And so it was a great conversation, and I think that will be, at the very least, a new thing we do at the end of every year, and maybe even more. Maybe we do it twice a year, just to kind of keep a meter on where we're at, and what we need to do to maybe make it better. And so I hope that that kind of leads in the direction of really giving my people some ownership of what we're doing. And not like I've faced a lot of backlash on pushing my mission. I really haven't. I'm lucky enough to have been with people, just great people, that they respect me enough. They're going to buy in just because of that. But I want it deeper than that. I want them to buy in because they truly believe in it. They truly want to fight for what we have built and what we have accomplished. And so hopefully this is kind of a way to get them to that. So anyway, just a little bit of a thought for you before I get out of here. I hope that you guys and girls, sorry, I'm bad about using the guys thing, but I use it lovingly to anybody. But anyway, I hope everybody starts off the year with a great attitude. I know that a lot of you out there are really struggling, and I hate that for you all. I understand that life is hard sometimes. I understand that being in the fire service is hard sometimes. Working for certain people is hard sometimes. But please continue to look at this as a blessing. If you are in the fire service, you are truly blessed. This is an amazing opportunity to have an impact on people's lives, so many people's lives. And if the environment that you're in is not allowing that, I think it's time to just start focusing on what you can do yourself, what you can impact, what you can do in your small little circle to help somebody. Just start with somebody, one person. It could be a coworker, it could be a patient that you're on, whatever you can do. Start small, don't get frustrated, keep going, keep reaching out and finding others that are like-minded, that you can get along with, and can kind of build your motivation and inspiration off of each other. Reach out to me. I love hearing from everybody. I'm really excited about getting back on here. I've missed it. I hope that I can kind of keep it up and keep myself going, and really try to use this as a way to start spreading a little bit of my message again, and keeping in touch with everybody. So thank you very much. I got to get back into the firehouse. Been off for 4 days. I'm looking forward to going in there. So please have a great, safe day. Please keep your head up. Please keep pushing, and know that you are not alone. We are in this together. So until next time, thank you, everybody. Stay humble and do work.